in this week's episode of Car Stars and Roll Bars. I'm Mike Kinney, your host. Do me a favor, subscribe, like, and share. And for all our friends on Facebook, make sure to go check us out on YouTube, Car Stars and Roll Bars. Each week we have the chance to pull back the curtain, so to speak, get the inside view of hot rodders and the culture and the cars and the big shows, SEMA, NHRA, the list goes on. We just got back in Grand National Roadster Show, so that will be coming up in the next few weeks. This week, we were really fortunate. Good friend of mine, Tim Strange, we're able to connect and say, hey, man, I know your schedule's jacked. Can we get you on the show? And he agreed to be with us. So we got Tim Strange, the owner of Strange Motion Rod and Custom. Amazing builder. Before we bring him on, we got a little video that kind of helps introduce himself. Hey, Rick, hit that play button, buddy.
Hey guys, it's Jared with Royal Purple. Today on Unscripted, we're with Tim Strange of Strange Motion. So Tim, we've been working together for at least 8 years, right? So our history started back on the RTM production of Search and Restore. Yeah, tell me a little bit about that.
Yep, that was filmed by Nashville. We moved down there out of Illinois to do that TV show, and it was kind of a give back. We got industry people to come in and help the builds, and people always had a good story. I believe we built a truck together. You guys sent some of the people down. It was a guy that had foster cared a bunch of kids and adopted kids and built this four-wheel drive Chevy truck for him to get to work in Backville and do it in a little bit of his style.
Yeah, so you have a shop in Nashville, right? So that may or may not have done this panel truck sitting behind us. So tell us about your shop.
Yeah, my shop is Strange Motion Rod and Custom. I've been in business. It's actually my 25th year running my hot rod shop. Been pretty lucky. We've been in over 380 magazines around the world. Won the Good Guys Trendsetter at SEMA. We built a dozen vehicles for OEMs for the SEMA show, taken a whole bunch of hot rods, and I'm actually the third youngest to be inducted in the Hall of Fame.
Nice.
Not too bad.
Congratulations on that.
Wow. I can't really think of a better way to introduce a very cool dude, one serious hot rod builder, Tim Strange. Tim, welcome aboard, man. I'm thrilled to have you on the show, brother. How you doing? Are you good, brother?
Yeah, can you hear me?
There we go. Yeah. So how you doing today, man?
Good. Little technical difficulties. Hopefully it stays working good here for us. So
yeah, we do love this, doing these remote versus being able to share the studio together. And anybody, unless you live under a rock, they have heard of Strange Motion Rod and Custom. We had the pleasure, Mary and I, we were with you guys in Tulsa for Daryl Starbird's show. For the viewers, if you haven't checked out Starbird's show, you got to go do it. It's to me, Tim, it's one of the better shows on the planet. I know you guys have been there for many years, and Daryl's just such a stand-up guy.
yeah, actually that's next weekend. So I'm going to drive down and stay with Daryl Starbird at his house for a day, and then go into Tulsa for the show next weekend.
Make sure to tell Daryl howdy, because Mary goes, he's going to go see Daryl? I said, yeah, probably is. I think we got a picture, because part of it is we talking about you and the history, and we'll be talking what's going on with your amazing builds. And before we jump in some of the pictures, you got started in this when you were pretty young, right? In your teens with your dad, right?
Yeah, actually a little bit before that. Look at that picture. That's me and my wife. Even that was before we were married at a hot rod show in Indianapolis. That was kind of the car that got our start right there. Yeah. I started in the shop and stuff with my dad. I actually painted a firewall on his 55 Chevy with a tilt front end when I was 8 years old.
Nice.
He had choppers before he got into Tri-5s, and I had a Chevelle that I built right out of high school that won some national awards. But that was our first major build right there. Tube chassis, chopped it. Made it a hardtop from a sedan. Started with a $150 rusty piece of crap, and that got us in a bunch of magazines and started the shop shortly after it hit the first magazine. And we actually still own that car. In 2003, I think it was, we rebuilt it again, unpro-streeted it, cut the roll cage out. Now it's got 20s and 22s and air ride and handmade moldings, and it was actually on display for about 4 years in the Daryl Starbird Hall of Fame Museum until all that moved up to Lincoln, Nebraska for Speedway Motors bought it. So, yeah, we still own that car. That was the car right there as it looks. My wife helped me with the interior. as we were dating, and we drove away from the church when we got married in that car.
Nice. So
So I still got the wife and I still got the car.
you still got the wife and the car, and it's good you put them in that order, brother.
Yeah.
And it's so.
She may be just over here listening.
I can kind of see her leaning in a little bit, and to me, it just makes all the difference when your better half, your other half, when they're kind of into what you are, right? Because otherwise, it makes it a little bit tougher. Because I know when we're in Tulsa, she's helped setting up the booth. Want to know if she can help us, and we're helping you guys, and so it makes it a big difference and a lot more fun.
Yeah, she worked at the shop and did upholstery for about 15 years.
Wow.
Actually, when we got the Good Guys Trendsetter Award in 2002, her name was on the trophy and got called up on stage. So she's kind of technically the only female that's got the Good Guys Trendsetter. And she don't do upholstery anymore, and she works in the industry. She's registration manager for events like Hot Rod Power Tour, the Roadkill events, I think 6 Holly events, and now some Hemmings events that their company is running that she works for.
So you guys probably run with Mike Musto quite a bit.
Yeah, I've met him. That's the thing, I do race announcing for Good Guys and some drag race stuff on the weekend. So there'll be times we'll be on opposite sides of the country at the same time. One year, a couple years ago, I was in North Carolina and she was in Vegas. So it's good we're in the same industry, but we're not always together. That's the bad thing. So.
You're not always together. And I did Grand National. We went to NHR Museum, and everybody says, ask Murray, you going to go with him? He says, no, he's filming. So I'm like, boom, and it just becomes a blur at about 9 o'clock at night. You know how that goes. Well,
Yep. I just got back from the Roadster show also.
Yeah, it was just, and I had to laugh. So there's people I haven't seen in 2 or 3 years. Naturally, we're all together at Grand, and for the viewers, if you haven't been to Grand National Roadster Show, you got to put that one on your bucket list as well. Amazing event. I don't know about you, Tim, but it looked like the numbers were off the hook, man.
Oh, yeah, and the weather was beautiful, so the Saturday drive-in cars were, man, I don't know, was there 1,200 cars there outside? Yeah. They had me picking a couple awards. Man, I was running around sweating like I was trying to find cars to pick. So,
well, I'm doing some B-roll, then we'll do some intros, and just all the cars are rolling in Saturday morning. We're going, dang, this is going to be a good day, and it was. Yeah. And of course, then right across the parking lot, you got the NHR Museum. So for the viewers, you can spend a whole bunch of time there above and beyond just Grand. We got some pictures of a few cars you've beat on over the years, and I appreciate you guys sending us all this information. Walk us through this, and this one's just stunning, man.
Well, that one we built, and we debuted it at the SEMA show. I think that's the car we had there at the Hot Rod Banquet the year we got the Trendsetter. Modified the chassis, got 20s and 22s, had a Scott's front end, big block Ford. I built a crazy dash and console. Kerry did the interior, had Jeep headlights, kind of a mild modern twist with some old school custom tricks with them flipped and molded and tucked bumpers.
Nice.
We sold it to a guy. Back then, we were building a car nights and weekends for ourselves every year, along with customer cars during the day. Always trying to build a better car of something different that we wanted to do, try to get to that slightly better clientele, or people would let us create a little bit more.
Yep.
And then we sold it. It went to Ohio, and the gentleman there had it for a while, and he sold it, and we kind of lost track of it for a while. And then, I don't know, a few years ago, it went through Barrett Jackson on like a Thursday.
Really?
And again, we lost track of it, and now it's in a collection in Phoenix, the Sanderson Ford collection. So actually, Craig Jackson posted a video when he was picking up his new Bronco, and that thing was in the showroom. So then we figured out where it was. And last year, when we went out for the Good Guys show in the fall, we went to the, I guess a year and a half, we went, seen the collection, seen the car again. So it was neat to see it. And a few things have been changed, but it's mostly the same. So yeah, that car was built, when we seen it, it was 20 years old at that time.
Wow. What beautiful, just like the shots you're showing, like underneath it, it just comes out so clean, man.
Yeah. Well, whoever's had it through all the years have taken pretty good care. So they've changed, I think they've changed the seats, and the wheels had black centers, and they polished that. But it's mostly, I'd say 99.9% still the same look as what we did it.
Beautiful. I think we got a few more picks coming up of some of the other builds, because you guys have been Mongo creative. So I got to ask, so like with this, when you take something that clean to begin with, just Is this just your mad science brain between you and Carrie, and you kind of figure out what looks right? There we go. Let's say that twice in 3 sentences. Just how do you figure out this look, man? Because they're always just spot on.
That one was we kind of got with a customer, and he let us kind of go wild
Beautiful.
on it. So there was a lot of crazy. You can kind of see in that picture. There's some little, instead of shaving totally everything off, we did like an industrial machine bung with a cap head bolt, Allen bolt, exposed hardware holding the bumpers on.
Beautiful.
And we carried that theme throughout the whole body. Of course, those were originally unibody. I built a tri-rail round tube chassis. It had a SVT Ford Racing Mustang modular motor, an intercooled Pro Charger, quick change rear end, coilovers. And I can't even remember what year we built that thing and took it to SEMA.
Yeah. That's just sexy, man. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, little crazy, and we put the plaid seat inserts in it, and everybody thought. And actually, the first person that bought it from the guy we finally finished it for it. Actually, we took it to SEMA unfinished because we had some sponsors on the car, and then the customer's business kind of took a hit. So it was around 2008. Sat in our shop for almost 3 years unfinished. A buddy from Minnesota bought it, and we blew it apart, freshened it up, and finished it. And so yeah, it was a fun little car.
And for the viewers also, listen to what Tim was saying. What's really cool is when you find a shop like Strange Motion Rod and Custom, let them turn them loose as far as the creativity. Tim, Carrie, they're going to pulse you to make sure your key expectations are there, but let you guys do what you do best, right? And then you end up, to me, something magical. I think we got a few more.
Yeah, hot rodders are like artists. You call Bobby Alloway because you want to style. You call Zane Cullen because you want to style. You call Brizio because you want to style. And I think hot rod builders are exactly that. They're just artists, and if you let them create, they'll give you something that you'll be happy with.
Yeah, your jaw's going to hit the floor. Talking about hitting the floor, I think the guys from Royal Purple were talking about this truck. That's just all. I'm not sure what you didn't do to this one, man.
Well, that was one that Royal Purple had in their stable for quite a few years, and about 6 years ago they reached out to us and wanted to redo it. It was just sitting in the warehouse, so we did kind of a quick build, put a new chassis from Fat Man and RideTech Air Ride on it, a Lingenfelder LS, and all Holley injection, and we took care of it for them for 4 summers, I guess. Took us a year to build it, and then we took it on Hot Rod Power Tour. It wasn't built to be a super show car; it was built to be a road vehicle. You're promoting an oil company. So we put a bed slide in the back. So we'd go to all these events and pull the bed slide out and show the oil off.
Cool.
And then we sold it almost a year ago. And that picture right there was just last week. The guy, Noel Irvin, right there in the picture, he lives in Houston, and it got invited to be in the truck display, the Keep on Truckin' building at the Grand National Roadster Show. So Noel and me decided to drive it. So I flew down to Houston and we drove it through almost monsoon rains. One day it was 10 degrees.
Oh, dude.
We had to let it warm up for an hour before all the air ride and the shifter would work because it was full of ice from driving in the rain. And so it just clicked over 20,000 miles of driving on that thing. So it was fun. I always dreamed about driving a hot rod to Southern California, but it was, in my mind, it was sunny and the windows were down. But then we got there kind of a day early, drove around like 12 hot rod shops and toured a bunch of places, went to Marcel's and Mike Curtis's and Coddington's, Chris Coddington's wheel place. So it was really fun.
Yeah, we got in there early, and like I say, we're checking out some of the shops because within a Pistons throw of Pomona, there's all these great shops and builders, and you can spend a week just stopping by and saying howdy, man.
Yeah.
Cool. I think we got a few more coming. This one I think when you kind of unveil the cover on this, so to speak, a lot of people, you kind of got a whole bunch of attention in the industry.
Yeah, that's still probably the best car top to bottom show-wise that we've built in our career.
Yeah.
We built that for Paul and Eric Hansen. At that time, they lived out in Pomona, California. Now Paul, his dad, has passed away, and Eric and his family lives up around Nashville. That thing had everything thrown at it. It was a 2-door hardtop, leaned the windshield back, 48 Buick 4-door fastback sedan roof that I adapted to make it fit, Merc taillights, Pontiac rear bumper, Olds grill bar that was Jeep headlights. It was just our interpretation on like a modern custom with a little bit of throwback to it. We we did very well with that. It was in magazines around the world, and
Yep.
it ended up in the Peterson Museum for almost 4 years. Now it's in a private collection in New Jersey that the guy actually has it in his living room.
I absolutely love. Before we jump into the next series of picks, we got great stuff coming up, viewers, to kind of pick your brain a little bit, Tim's, because we have a wide range of viewers on our show. We're very thrilled to have them with us on Car Stars and Roll Bars. For somebody starting in their career, you know, and they got a couple years in the saddle, and they want to open their own hot rod shop, what kind of suggestions would you offer them other than don't do it?
Yeah, maybe find a real job. That's, I always joke. But be prepared to, it's not a 9 to 5. You'll definitely be working a lot of hours around the clock. Have an understanding family. We never had kids, but I started my shop before I was married. And again, we dated, you know, when my wife was in high school, so she knew I was a car addict as it was. But you don't have to spend the money. I get guys that'll reach out to me all the time. I had a couple of young guys talk to me out at the Grand Nationals last week, and I said, You don't need to buy a $70,000 paint booth, and you don't have to buy the most high dollar equipment. I mean, I know guys that are building amazing cars that has won every award in the industry that don't even have a real paint booth. They paint in a 2-stall garage beside their shop, but that's what they just use it for. You're going to have to just work. Your work has to be there. Like my dad told me as a kid growing up on the farm, we worked our butts off anyway. He said a 12-hour day of work is still only a half a day of work because there's 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
And I told one kid, he goes, well, how do I get my name out there? And I said, well, when I was younger trying to get my name out there, I built a car for myself along with the customer cars, because then that shows you the car you want to build for yourself. You may not be able to afford all the best stuff on it, but that's the style that you're wanting your career to kind of go to. And I says, do a budget, figure out how many events you can go to in a year, and go to 3 to 5 more that you can't even afford to go to. I mean, even if you have to sleep in your truck and trailer, we've done that. We've ate peanut butter sandwiches. And then next year will be my 30th year running my shop. So it's not magic. Nobody's really got it figured out. We're all kind of winging it, I think. And we're working on hot rods and having a lot of fun. So.
Having a lot of fun. So I think we got a couple more picks we can be sharing with our viewers. This is certain. Did that start out life as a Buick, or did you play with something?
Yeah, that was a 53 Buick that was actually, we just kind of stumbled upon it when we lived in Illinois. A local guy had it for sale really cheap, and it had the straight 8 in it, and ran it and drove it around the barnyard with my dog in there. And that was kind of a quick build for SEMA. Kerry did the interior. We put a Heights front stub underneath of it. Never even pulled the body off the frame. Put a 4-link air ride on it. It was just about done and painted with 18-inch 5-spokes on it. And then Colorado Custom reached out to us that year and said, hey, we want to debut our 20s and 22s, which 22s were new at that time.
Right.
And so we kind of had to get in there and slice and mini tub it. The car was already painted, and put these big wheels on it. And at that time at SEMA, what we seen, there was 3 cars with 22-inch wheels on it, and we were the only hot rod there. Now I probably wouldn't even build a car with 22-inch wheels on it, but we were doing a lot of stuff with companies and partnerships and debuting new products at SEMA for all the years. We've been going to SEMA for 22 years and taking cars, like 21 of them. So we've debuted a lot of new products and parts and stuff for some of our partners, which is an honor to be a part of that.
Oh, and it's great to have you part of the SEMA. I think we got a couple more. Then we got a video we want to share. We want to talk. We're gonna have some SEMA stuff going. To me, this is such an iconic shot because it just represents you guys' commitments to just quality, and you're going to have a tight car when it's done, right?
Yeah, and again, that's the undercarriage of the Royal Purple panel truck. That was actually the first, the prototype chassis that we worked on for that body style of truck. And that's the one that we put 20,000 miles on right there.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. We always got to have that little Q&A portion as well. So looking at my notes, oh, dude, I know this is going to be hard. I'll apologize in advance. So far, what's your favorite automotive memory?
You did send me a couple questions to look at and kind of think about. So this morning in the shop, I was kind of thinking, it was like, I've got so many from the one we just did, the road tour, the road trip. I've done power tour, chasing cars with my uncle when I was like 18, 19, driving across country on between Christmas and New Year's. But probably one is my dad was always a Tri-5 guy.
Yeah.
And we went in 1981 to Dearborn, Michigan to the Classic Chevy International. That was the first time I've ever stayed in a hotel because we were just country farm people that just kind of went to local car shows and never really went places. And we took a family vacation, pulled my dad's tilt front end 55 Chevy up there, had a tunnel ram and dual hollies and a blower scoop and, tilt front end and everything, and gold center Kragers on it. That was just the style then.
That was the style.
And pulled it up there with our 78 Dodge Magnum, which is like a Chrysler Cordova. 45 mile an hour all the way from Illinois up there. And that was like the first time there was like 1,200 cars, Tri-5s at this Hyatt hotel. Again, indoor pool. I just never seen such a thing being a country boy. We had a pond,
Exactly.
But that made me realize that, we met guys that worked at Super Chevy Magazine and the Classic Chevy Magazine and all these parts guys. And it's like, you can really do this for a living. So I was 10 years old then. And I think that's probably the switch that this is what I want to do for a living. I want to be in this industry. So that's probably the most memorable trip. And it just really woke my eyes up.
Very cool.
That it's bigger than just your local 100-car show and maybe a couple cruise nights. That it's a big industry. And
very cool.
Now, I'm lucky to be a part of it and be able to do a lot of cool things in this industry.
Speaking about cool things, okay, tough question number 2. What's your favorite hot rod? I know, I'm sorry.
Bought like car, or one that I've built, or one that I've seen built?
Ooh, that's your personal favorite car. We'll put it, maybe you build it, maybe it's one you haven't built yet, but you're in love with the style.
I guess, if it's just a generic question, I'd say a 55 Chevy. I fell in love with a 55 sedan. Again, my dad was Tri-5 guy, and he had hardtop cars, so I was a sedan guy.
Yeah.
Of course, Falfa 55 and American Graffiti was awesome. And my first car that I bought was a 55 150 sedan for my great-grandpa. I sold 4.8 and bought it for my grandpa for $100 and drove it around the barnyard. When I was 8 years old, I bought my first real car, a 55 Chevy.
And you're styling, right?
Yeah. So I still want to build another 55 Chevy. So yeah, I'd say that's a good generic answer. It says
it kind of
55 Chevy is my
itch.
favorite car.
Well, we got a video coming up before we go there, and the viewers, I know Tim won't really say this, so that's part of my job. I get to brag on him a little bit. I've run with he and his amazing wife Carrie for many, many years. Great builder, but he's also one really stand-up guy. I think this video says it best. Rick, hit the play button.
I wear this bracelet on my wrist because everybody that we know has been touched by cancer. Cancer really sucks. I wish I could build a hot rod for everybody that's ever been touched by cancer. It would make their pain go away and bring back their loved ones. But you can't do that. So when this opportunity came around for me to come down here and build some cars for some people that are very deserving and try to make their lives a little brighter, I thought I'd give it a shot. I've ran a shop for 18 years, built cars for people all over the country, won more awards than I could ever think, been in over 250 magazines worldwide. This build here means more than just about anything that I've done.
Like I said, it kind of sets the stage, man. And congrats what you're doing. God bless you guys for that. You know how much I've been involved in charity programs and cancer awareness and cancer prevention, cruising for the cure at Debbie Baker, and having people like you yourself in a professional willing to commit your time. That just big giant thumbs up to you guys, man.
Thanks. When that was the first build we did on that Search and Restore TV show, and then that's when I learned that not all people are super awesome. That was the Power Block that had all the how-to shows, and we actually got hate mail and hate letters because we aired that segment of me getting all choked up. Like guys is like, I'm watching these car shows with my kid, and he's seen me cry, and now he thinks I'm a sissy. I was like, no, now your son knows you have a heart.
Thank you.
Yeah, so.
Thank you.
Not everybody appreciates that sappy stuff, I guess. So.
Well,
Yeah,
That's
that
all
was a
right.
pretty neat experience to do that show.
It is very neat, and I want to congratulate you for having the courage to be so poignant and honest with your feelings on it. We got a few more picks, and you heard us talking about SEMA, and so we got a few shots from there. And anytime you go to SEMA's cool when you get to have a vehicle there. It's extra cool. What are we seeing, man?
That's a car that I actually worked on and off for about 3 years. 65 Chevelle. Did it. Me and my dad kind of partnered up nights and weekends. He lives 9 hours away, but he'd come down and spend a week at a time here and there, and I'd take a week off at the shop on customer cars, and we'd work on it together. So that's a 65 Chevelle. It's mini tubbed. There's a lot more going on than it kind of looks at. It's mini tubbed, 5 inches aside. The frame's kicked up in the back to get it low. The front cross member is narrowed 2 inches from Fat Man. The frame's kicked up another 5 inches to get it the rake that I wanted. We extended the rockers down. We channeled it 1.25 inches.
Nice.
Built the hood scoop to look like a Baldwin Motion 70 Nova scoop. Big block, 505 cubic inches. And when the hood's open, it's shoved way back like a race car. The distributor's cut into the cowl. It's pushed back so far.
Nice.
But I used Impala bucket seats in it. My friend Mike Regula did the seats. And then me and Carrie did the rest. But my dad always put Impala seats in all of his Tri-5s. And like the big rubber Hirsch shifter boots we used, like he always used. And even down to, like he would go to Kmart and get like $5 clear floor mats. And we found some on Amazon and put the clear floor mats even in it. So there's a whole bunch of little story. My buddy growing up, Matt Lindbaum, I had a 64. He had a 65. He helped me paint some of my cars back in the day on nights and weekends. And this was his car. He tore apart, and then life got in the way, and he never got to finish it again the second time. So we bought that car. It was sitting in a barn about 10 miles from my dad's farm, and a tornado took the barn away. But the bones were still good, so I put all new sheet metal on it.
Very cool.
We debuted it a year and a half ago.
Excellent. I think we got a few more picks coming up. So, for the viewers, Tim's been known to get on stage a little bit. You and I have had the pleasure of emceeing, et cetera, a lot of the SEMA receptions. So there you are doing one for the good guys.
That's actually the Hot Rod Industry Alliance when I was given the Good Guys Trendsetter Award away then. But I've got to do that 3 years now, which is pretty cool, where they did, ISCA gives awards and NSRA gives awards, and then they do a bunch of stuff. We interview car owners in there, and then the night before I do the restoration side of SEMA, the Armo banquet, which I've done that for 5 years now. So
Perfect.
Pretty cool to be a part of some of this stuff at the SEMA show. Like I always say, this year the theme was keep on trucking 70s theme. And so I dressed up like that was, I hosted the restoration banquet looking, that's me up there. I don't know how people with long hair do it. I don't know how you do it. I was like, I couldn't even eat dinner. My hair kept getting in my mouth.
Dude, I was going to say, I'm digging your hair. Now, I love that shot to your immediate left. I think that's our good old running buddy, Gene Winfield, if I don't miss my guess.
Gene's the most amazing guy. He was at the Roadster show. Allegedly, I don't want to rat him out, but he was still at the bar dancing with the girls at midnight on Friday night. 95 years old, and he was still dancing with the ladies. So I get to see him. He's supposed to be at Tulsa next weekend.
I wouldn't doubt that a bit. I'd be at SEMA. I'd go find a bar, and he goes, "Hey, Mike, which one you going to be at?" And here he comes. And he kind of goes down.
But he don't drink. Like me, I don't drink either. He'll hang out and have a water, but he never drank. No caffeine. Nothing. So
and he's still chopping cars. I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
And I think we've got a couple more picks here. And we kind of loosely put it under the people category, the old phrase, kind of, who you get to run with. So I think there's a few people here of note hanging out with Mr. Strange, if I'm correct.
Yeah, that last one was Mr. Norm of Grand Spalding Dodge. He was at a Mo Party event that Holly put on. Got to meet him. My dad had a Mr. Norm. It was a 67 440 4-speed car, just off the lot. Wasn't the huge performance one, but being out in Illinois, stuff would make your way out of up the Chicagoland out to where we lived.
Yeah.
So he's since passed away. So I got to meet him. We support some BMX kids, and we still race. So that was at a vintage race in Tulsa, Oklahoma, last fall. The week leading up, Daryl Starbird and helped him build a bubble top mold to have blown. And then took my vintage bikes, and they had an old school race in the parking lot with a water jump, and I actually got a place in that. So
Nice.
that's our stress relief.
There you go.
So yeah, this was this last year,
Yeah.
right before SEMA, the NHRA's in town, and I go out to get my tickets that somebody got me at will call, and standing there is Linda Vaughn.
Right.
She can't get in because she's not on anybody's list.
Oh, dude.
You know, Miss Hurst, how is she not on a list? She goes, I got VIP passes. I have full access at IndyCar and NASCAR, but drag racing has not got her that yet. So hopefully somebody listens to that and gets it handled.
Yeah.
She should have a VIP all access pass for
everything.
NHRA first.
Yeah, for everything. You're depending on the NHRA is where she kind of started. Too
Yep.
funny.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Daryl. Phew.
That's Mr. Starbird himself right there. That's in his museum, and that's where my 54 had the honor of sitting for 4 years.
Yeah.
And again, that museum's all done. Everything's cleaned out, and all of his collection of cars and some of the other ones went to Lincoln, Nebraska. And Speedway's building a lot of his cars are already up there, but they're opening a new wing or a new whole building that's like 85,000 square feet or something.
Beautiful.
And then they're going to set up all the National Rod and Custom Hall of Fame memorabilia up there. And I brought my 54 home because it needs the air ride fixed from sitting, but I think it's going up to be on display for a few years when I have time to touch up some stuff on it.
Well, that would definitely be cool. Now, boy, you talk about a group. You know, there's D'Agostino, there's you. I mean, there's Ron Covell. Man, now this was obviously in Tulsa, I do believe.
Yeah, I think that was last year, or the year before. That was the people that showed up that is in the National Rod and Custom Hall of Fame. That year, John McLeod from Classic Instruments got inducted, and Alan Mays is there. Brett Vandervoort, from Fat Man, Chris Ryan, Eric Geiser, me, Gary Myers, Covell, Pichette there, Jerry Titus, Winfield, Starbird, Hunkus, and Posey, and Johnny D.
Yeah, and John D's he's just an amazing guy. He and I always run SEMA, and I end up being his Sherpa somehow every year. I don't know how that happens to me, Tim.
Oh, you stand around John D'Agostino, you're going to be his camera guy. Here, take a picture, and never in front of the camera with him, but you're a camera guy. You got to be careful.
Camera guy. I get to carry his luggage. The list goes on. And I think we got a couple more here. Nope. Okay, we're going to the tail end of it. I tell you, man, I cannot thank you enough for being on the show with us today. So how do people get a hold of you? Kind of step us through our contact information.
My Facebook is just Tim Strange, and we got a Strange Motion shop page on there.
There we go, cool.
I slack on posting on the shop page. Instagram, I post on Rod Builder. We also have a Strange Motion Rod and Custom page, but with a business page, they limit your outreach so much. So I post most of my stuff on Rod Builder. So that's the best way to see what we're doing. So we don't always post everything. We got a bunch of cars in the shop that we can't post on there because the customers haven't decided where they're going to debut them. But I got a shop full of stuff and booked out for many years. Everybody's good in the business is lucky to be very busy right now.
Well, you guys are amazing. I know your schedule's totally yacked. I can't thank you enough for setting aside time to squeeze in for Car Stars and Roll Bars. And got to say goodbye for now, but I know we're going to be hooking up down the road and give Kerry my best, brother. Love you guys.
Thanks for having me.
You betcha, man. Take care now. Want to thank all the viewers, and you got to check out everything going on with Strange Motion Rod and Custom. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share what we're doing. Our Facebook friends, go check us out on YouTube. Car Stars and Roll Bars. And until next time, enjoy the ride.